Welcome to the waiting room.
By not your average auntie.
So, what is the waiting room?
What is the waiting room?
I think it's the middle space. I think it's
It's
the
the in
in
between.
between, right?
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people think waiting room where you go to the doctor and you just sitting there waiting around. But if anybody like me,
Hmm.
we productive in the waiting room.
Yes, absolutely. It's the place in the space where God is doing the work that He needs to do in us, and we're doing the work that He is telling us to do. So it is the space before the husband comes, and it's the place where we're working on ourselves while we're waiting on God to join us together.
Okay, so we're gonna tell you a little bit about the waiting room. But
Let's talk about the waiting room.
since she said that, I'm gonna go ahead and say this.
Talk about the waiting room.
That's what we're gonna be talking about when God joins us together, right? We're gonna be talking about biblical marriage, biblical relationships,
covenant, kingdom.
Yes, covenant, not contract. Fight me in the comments if you want to. I don't care. Covenant over contract.
Yes.
If you want a contract, this is not the podcast for you.
Not the podcast
You're
for
looking
you.
for covenant. Welcome in to the waiting room.
You are welcome here.
Okay, we're gonna be talking about what it's like out here in these real dating streets.
Yes.
We don't subscribe to all this is pee and poop and everything in the pool. You know why? Because when you speak that onto your dating life, that's what you're gonna get.
That's right. That's right.
So we're gonna be testimonies.
Yes,
we in transition to the testimony right
that's
now.
Right. That's
so
right.
Those are some things you can look for
in the waiting room.
What else are we gonna talk about?
We're also going to be talking about the disasters. Let's be frank.
Ooh, child.
Let's be frank. There are going to be some situations and people and situations that are not going to be great. So we're going to be talking about those dating woes. You know, being ghosted. You know, for various reasons. We're going to talk about how hard it is to date when you're celibate. Nobody wants to talk about celibacy. Shh, it's a bad word.
You're a prude.
You're a prude. But hey, the truth is, there are some of us that want to walk in with godly principles. Right. And so, what does that look like dating for those people? We're going to talk about it.
And those red flags.
All of the red flags.
We're going to talk about those red flags. We're going to talk about the red flags and not turning those red flags into tapestry.
That's right.
Not calling them mauve and fuchsia, trying to avoid the situation.
That's right.
It's that color for a reason, sis.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're gonna talk about the red flags, the blue flags, the green flags, all the flags. Let's talk about them.
Yeah. So the waiting room was birthed in two different wombs, as you can see, 2 different times, 2 different spaces, and this is the culmination of that. And really, when I have a group, Not Your Average Auntie, check us out. You on the channel right now if you subscribe to YouTube, but that was the combination of podcasts for me. I got the idea. Somebody said you can use that for a podcast, and I was like, what would I use it for? And we were having a conversation one day, and she started talking about.
Well, when Sonya started letting me know about, we didn't even introduce ourselves.
We didn't.
We didn't tell these people our name.
I'm gonna tell you. You tell your story, then we'll go back.
Okay. When Sonya would tell me about the various ways and platforms she was using to meet men, we were talking about those things. So every time she would give me a horror story, especially all of the scammers that she was reporting. So if you ever been reported on the dating apps, it was probably Sonya. Yeah. So I was always saying, girl, I said, these are chronicles. I said, these are dating chronicles. So it just kept being a thing where when Sonya would tell me about what she had going on, I would tell her what I had going on. We would talk about the dating chronicles. Yep. So one day recently, I said, Sonya, you need to do a podcast about the dating chronicles. And Sonya was like, wait a minute. So she ended up calling me. We had a conversation, and here we are.
But you had the waiting room.
I had the waiting room. So like 6 years ago, God was dealing with me on doing a podcast. He was dealing with me on doing a podcast about waiting. Well, I mean, and we're not all waiting on a spouse. Some of us are waiting on a baby. Some of us are waiting on finances to change. Some of us are waiting on our career to take off.
Loved ones to come back home.
Absolutely. So the waiting room can be a lot of different things to a lot of different people. We're going to talk about a little bit about what the waiting room is for us. But what is the waiting room for you? So God gave me the idea of the waiting room, and He said do a podcast, and I sat on it for 6 years. And so when I was throwing that out at Sonya was like, well, God was talking to me about doing a podcast. I said, well, this was what God had shared with me a few years ago. Yep. We put the two together. Here we are.
So our baby is coming to fruition. We are novices at this, so
Yes.
bear with us. So now we're going to go back to what we probably should have done a few minutes ago, which is introduce ourselves.
Yes.
So I am Sonia. I'm the Sonia that she was just referring to.
And my name is Pam.
So we have known each other now for what, about 5-6 years?
About 5 to 6 years, yeah.
Somewhere along that line, and as you can see, it's just chemic. It happens, it flows, and so that's what I believe is going to make this great conversation.
Yes.
Great dialogue, and we hope to hear from you guys.
Yes.
We want to open up conversations for you all to chime in and let us know what the waiting room looks like for you. If you want advice on what we may have done, we're not doing anything professional or like that, but you just like, hey sis, I've experienced this. Have you had the same experience? What did you do when it happened? Tell me about a time when you was in a similar circumstance. We want to hear that from you guys. We want this to be a space where you feel comfortable and free, and where you can feel seen. Part of the reason that Not Your Average Auntie came about is because I heard so many women in their 40s, early 50s, late 30s that I'm not married, I don't have kids, all my friends are married, I don't have anybody to go out with, and this and that. I was like, you're not an anomaly, you're not the only one out there, like it's plenty of us out there. So I was like, let's get these people together and get a bond and connection going. So that was how the Not Your Average Auntie culminated, and that's the same thing that I hope to see from here, that people are being seen and heard, and know that you're not alone in this walk.
Not at all. Not at all.
I plan on, and I know Pam is the same way, y'all gonna get some raw truth, and you're gonna see what it looks like, because I want people that may be going through some of the same things I'm going through to be able to see somebody else who is experiencing the same thing or something similar, but is able to have a joyful, happy, fruitful life.
Yeah. What we're hoping is going to come from this is going to be a bunch of testimony, right? Like what we want to come from this is that we're going to use the voice and the platform that God is going to give us so that we can encourage each other, but we want to encourage you as well. And what we want to happen, we want testimonies to come forward. Like, we want you all to share the stories about how, I did this and this is what happened and God did this. Like, this is a collective. And so what we want is there to be a space and a place where Christian women can fellowship, without there being scrutiny, without there being any kind of judgment. So this is a space for that. The waiting room is the space for us to come together as a collective and share what the Lord is doing with us.
Absolutely. I want to see some wedding invitations come through this, y'all. We're going to be invited to some weddings. We want to invite y'all to our weddings. It's going to happen. For those who are waiting patiently for their spouse to come to them, even if you in this process, I'm not sure if I want to get married. Maybe if you're feeling hopeless because of just so many different things, maybe you want to know how you can live a productive life and not focus on it. I'm looking forward to a lot of stuff, but hey, we definitely want to hear from you. So drop it in the chat.
That's right.
Put it in the email.
We will provide you with the email address where you can send your letters if you want us to feature what you're going through. If you want us to discuss it in one of our videos, we will do that. So we'll provide all the information for you to share with us, because again, we want to hear from you.
All right. Okay. So I think that's all for us.
That's it.
For this introduction.
Okay.
Look forward to hearing from us very soon. Soon and very soon, as the old saints will say. And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.